Despite the fact that seemingly everyone is already talking about 2025 plans and goals, you still have time to make things happen this year. Let's not write off 2024 just yet. The problem is though, for a lot of us, the end of year is also the busiest time of year. So how do we get things done without becoming a scatterbrained mess? Let's make a plan together. To get started, we're gonna need something to write on and something to write with. I'm using my scribble book. It's kind of just full of messy notes and like scribbled down ideas, mainly because this first part is gonna be a little bit messy. We're gonna wanna ask ourselves, what do we actually want to accomplish with our end of year plans? For this part, I essentially just set myself a timer and think about anything and everything that I want to come to the end of year having done. A good way to think about this is asking yourself the question, on December 31st, what progress do I want to be celebrating? I find this to be a really positive way to frame it because it's exciting thinking about what we could be celebrating come the end of the year. What kind of things have you gotten started with this year that aren't quite finished? What kind of things are small enough that you could still undertake them in the rest of the year and go into 2025 feeling really good about having that under your belt? When it comes to the brainstorming portion, I like to let my thoughts go anywhere and everywhere they want to. At this point, I'm not necessarily trying to be super realistic with what I can get done or what will get done. Effectively, I reward my brain for having a thought by putting it down on the list. This is also why I like to time restrict this section though. I only give myself maybe 5 or 10 minutes to think about those things, so I don't get a little bit too carried away. There will be some items that I write down on my list that aren't realistically going to get done. I just don't have the time, energy, inclination to do them in this last little part of the year, especially because, like we said, the end of the year period is often really busy. So then once we have our ideas on the paper, we're gonna wanna have a little bit of a reality check moment and consider what's actually realistic to accomplish in the time we have left. As part of this, you do very much want to consider what you have going on your calendar, things outside of the projects that you've written down that are going to take away from the available time you have. Yes, we all have 24 hours and 7 days a week, but not all 24 hours are the same. Hopefully you're getting some sleep in there. You're gonna have periods that are dedicated to work, time with friends and family, anything else you have going on. So not every single hour of every single day is going to be dedicated to these projects that we've written down as ideas. A good rule of thumb for the list is to pick out the most important ones first. If you pick those out and realize that you've already got quite a substantial list of things you want to work on, then making sure we prioritize those in your end of year plans is more important than filling it in with a bunch of other little bits and pieces that would be nice to do, but they aren't really as essential. How many end of year projects you pick is completely up to you. I would recommend that you try and keep your list smaller, just so that you can maintain your focus across them. But the next thing we're going to want to do is think about what kind of layouts are actually going to be helpful in working on these different things. I kind of like to think about this as a problem-solving activity. So the task or project that I'm trying to fit into my end of year plan, that's the problem. What kind of layouts could be the solution to making sure that it happens? For each of the items on my pared down list, I just consider what kind of layout I could set up in my journal, something that would be assistive in making sure that I can organize the information I need to and get that thing done. It's good to note that not every single entry on the list is going to have its own layout. Some of them are going to be combined together, possibly multiple pieces of information captured on the same layout, and some of them don't really need a layout at all. They might just be smaller things that only need a couple of tasks that are put onto a weekly log or monthly, daily log. But for the projects and goals that are going to need a little bit more of a robust structure, those are the ones that I want to make sure I have space for in my end of year plan. Once you know what layouts you're going to need, then we need to start thinking about how we're actually going to structure them. Now this is going to be very dependent on what kind of end of year projects you're working on. We do actually have a separate video on project plan layouts, which might be really useful for that. I tend to think of most of my projects as being modular, so considering what kind of sections or modules I need to put into the layout that'll help me capture and organize the information needed for that project in particular. As you can see here, one of the modules that I'm setting up is related to video content creation. In particular, this is going to be my Vlogmas project, so having a video release for every single day in December. I find it to be a lot of fun, but also a lot of work. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss those upcoming videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you as part of the team. Other modules you can include depending on your project could be things like a guest list if it's a social event. It could be a budget if you need to set aside particular funds to work on your project. It could be a prioritized task list. There are a lot of different options, very much depends on what it is you're planning to do with the time you have left in the year. Once you know what layouts you're going to be setting up though, and roughly how you're setting up, mainly for the purposes of knowing how many pages you need, then you need to decide where in your journal you're going to be putting them. This is going to be a personal choice type thing, really depends on how you like to store and reference information in your journal. I personally like to put all of my end of year plans at the very back of my notebook, mainly so that then they're very easy to find. I can very quickly turn to them and reference them when I need them. But you might want to put these in amongst your monthly pages, especially if particular parts of your project or particular parts of your end of year plan need to be done in specific months or specific weeks. Having them in that section in your journal could be more useful. I typically like to set up a lot of different layouts for my end of year plans, just so that I can be as cool, calm, and collected as possible, organizing all of the different things that I have going on during that busy season. But I'd love to know, what are you planning on working on for the rest of this year? We still have time to make really decent progress on the things that we wanted to accomplish in 2024 before we get into 2025. I want us both to get to the new year period feeling really accomplished for how we finished this year, and also ready to tackle the year ahead. Let me know your plans in the comments, but if you are on the hunt for more inspiration about how to set up your end of year plans, and possibly in particular the tools that I find really helpful for this, then this video is the next one to check out. That one offers some very helpful advice around, in particular, the availability of time, so click or tap on that one and I'll see you over there.